Hi, this is Alex from Groovy Entertainment. Today we got another book and record to play for you. Today's book is Puss in Boot from 1976, requested by Ashley Elder. So let's get started.
Have you heard a good book today? Magic Media shows the way. Come along, listen and look to a Magic Media talking book. Turn a page and hear the band. You're in Magic Media land, where you hear the children say, have you heard a book today?
Hi, boys and girls. This is Mr. Magic. All ready to enjoy your Magic Media talking story? Just follow along in your book with the storyteller, and when you hear this signal, turn the page. Now, let's begin.
This is the story of Puss in Boots. Once there was a miller who had 3 sons. When he died, his belongings were divided among them. The oldest son received the mill. To the second, he left a brown donkey. The youngest son received only a big cat, and he wept because he did not know how he could make a living for himself and the cat. When the cat saw his master in tears, he said, "Give me a sack, a hat, and a pair of boots. I'll help you." The youngest son was so surprised to hear his cat talking that he hurried to get the things the cat wanted. Puss pulled on the long leather boots and slung the sack over his shoulder. He put on the big scarlet hat and went into the forest. I'm a puss in boots, and it sure is fun to help the miller's youngest son, and it won't be hard for me. With ingenuity, I'll make my fortune soon, I know. So here I go. Puss put some juicy cabbage leaves inside his sack. Then he laid the sack on the ground and hid behind a tree. Before long, a rabbit hopped into the sack and started to eat the cabbage leaves. Puss jumped from his hiding place and trapped the rabbit in the sack. Then Puss hurried to the king's palace with his catch. He said to the king, "Your Majesty, I bring you a gift from my master, the Marquis of Carabas." The king did not know anyone by that name, so he asked, "Where does your master live?" "In a splendid castle not far from your palace, sire," Puss replied. And bowing low, Puss disappeared. But each day he brought a similar gift to the king. One day, when his master was swimming in the river, Puss saw the king's coach, drawn by 2 white horses, approaching. He ran toward the coach, waving his hat in the air. "Help! Help! The Marquis of Carabas is drowning!" he shouted. The king stopped the coach and ordered his servants to pull the cat's master from the river. Puss told the king thieves had stolen his master's clothes. A fine suit was brought from the palace, and the king invited the Marquis of Carabas to step into the royal coach. A clever cat then ran down the road ahead of the coach and called to some men who were working in the fields. "Good people, when the king passes this way, tell him that these fields belong to my master, the Marquis of Carabas. If you do not say that, you will spend the rest of your lives in prison." The workmen were so frightened that when the king stopped and asked them who owned all of the land, they answered, "The Marquis of Carabas." The king was amazed at the riches of the young man sitting beside him in the coach. him. Puss was not afraid of this evil man. He knocked on the door. The ogre received him politely, because he had never before seen a cat who could talk. Puss asked the ogre, "Is it true that you can turn yourself into an animal?" "I'll show you," growled the ogre, and changed himself into a raging lion. Puss shook in his boots when he saw the lion. But he had courage. The lion roared, changed back into the ogre. "Can you also change yourself into a tiny animal?" the cat asked. "Of course I can. What?" The next instant, a mouse scampered across the floor. Puss immediately pounced upon it and swallowed the mouse in one gulp. And that was the end of the wicked ogre. It was just in time, because the cat heard the royal coach approaching. He ran to the gates and motioned to the coachman to stop. Puss bowed low. "Sire, pray enter the castle of my master, the Marquis of Carabas." "Dear Marquis, I didn't know you lived in such a magnificent castle. I must have you for my son-in-law," the king declared. "Must have you for my son-in-law," the king declared. The miller's son was too surprised to speak. "How pleased I am that my father left me that clever cat," he thought. The Marquis and the king became good friends. There was a great celebration in the land when the king's daughter, a beautiful princess, married the Marquis of Carabas. They loved each other dearly and lived happily ever after. I'm a puss in boots, and I'm the best. My master's now a big success, and it's all because of me and ingenuity. I made my master's dreams come true. They're my dreams too.
So that was Puss in Boot from 1976, requested by Asher the Elder. So if you like, subscribe, share, and comment, and have a groovy day. And our next book will be The Cat That Would Be King